Ever feel frustrated? Like you watch all these self-improvement videos, listen to the podcasts, but things don't really change.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone there.
Sure.
It's a common feeling.
So today we're doing a deep dive into why these, well-intentioned efforts sometimes just fall flat. We want to give you the key insights, but without making your head spin.
Right. Get to the heart of it.
It reminds me of that Elon Musk quote, something like, "Too much information without a filter just clutters the brain and destroys focus."
Oh, that really hits the nail on the head. It's kind of the central paradox, isn't it?
How so?
Well, think about the sheer amount of information available now. It's staggering. Imagine a scientist from maybe 200 years ago suddenly getting access to something like ChatGPT.
Whoa! Mind-blowing.
Exactly. The knowledge is almost infinite. But here's the thing. Our brains, fundamentally, haven't really changed that much.
Okay.
So we haven't evolved to process this constant flood effectively, which means simply consuming more content isn't necessarily better. It might even be worse.
So it's not just about learning more stuff. It feels like the whole idea of personal growth. It shifted somehow.
I think that's a really sharp observation.
Mm-hmm.
Personal growth used to be, a tool, a means to an end. You learn something to achieve a specific goal.
Right.
But now, for a lot of people, it feels like personal growth has become the goal itself. Like the act of consuming self-help content is seen as progress.
So just watching the videos or listening, that feels like you're doing something.
Precisely. You get this feeling of moving forward, but if you're not actually applying anything, it's just a feeling. It's like binge watching cooking shows for 24 hours, but never actually, boiling an egg.
Yeah, or reading 50 articles about the benefits of exercise instead of
Right.
just going for a walk. So focus then. That seems critical.
Absolutely. Think about someone like Musk. Again, you picture him reading like intensely. No phone buzzing, no distractions, that
Yeah.
deep focus.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Okay.
There's an analogy I like about the Japanese swordsman. Someone who has practiced one technique 1,000 times.
Is much more dangerous than someone who has practiced 1,000 techniques only once.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Exactly. And that applies here. Are you spreading yourself too thin? Trying to learn a little bit about everything instead of going deep on what matters.
It's like digging, 10 shallow holes instead of one deep well? You end up with nothing much.
You got it. You get this superficial understanding across many areas. It can create a false sense of competence,
Like you know about investing because you watched a few YouTube videos.
Right. But knowing about it and actually doing it well, making smart decisions under pressure, totally different things. Remember New Coke?
Oh, yeah, the big flop.
They had all the taste test data, the research. Seemed like a sure thing on paper.
Huh.
But they completely missed the real-world emotional connection people had to the original.
So the theory didn't match reality?
Exactly. Understanding something in theory and applying it successfully are two different worlds. And for you, listening now, that means knowledge is only really valuable when you use it. Okay, I get the problem. Passive consumption, shallow knowledge. So how do we break this cycle? What can people listening actually do?
Well, there are a couple of key things. First, try to limit your choices. Resist that temptation to constantly jump between different podcasts, different books, different gurus.
To pick one thing and actually engage with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really dig in. Finish the book. Actually do the exercises in the course. Absorb it fully before you rush off to the next shiny object.
Quality over quantity. Give yourself the space to actually process it. Makes sense.
It really does. And the second thing, maybe even more crucial, is immediate action.
Action.
Yeah. When you learn something that resonates, that feels useful, don't just nod and think, that's interesting. Do something about it right away, if possible.
Like if the video says running is beneficial.
Put your shoes on and go for a run, even just a 5-minute run around the block. The point is to bridge that gap between knowing and doing immediately.
Okay, so be deliberate, focus on one resource at a time, really absorb it, and then, crucially, take some kind of action, however small.
That's pretty much the core of it. Real growth isn't measured by how many hours of content you've consumed. It's about that focused learning turning into consistent, real-world action.
So here's something for you to think about. Consider one area, just one, where you've maybe consumed a lot of information, read the books, watched the videos, but haven't really taken significant action. What's one tiny step, just one small thing you could do today to move from just knowing to actually doing?